Hey, what's up, everybody? Aaron here with another episode, and hopefully, this episode, I sound really loud. Let's hope this episode actually all the technology works. I've been trying to figure this out the last couple of days, and it's a new platform I'm using. So I haven't done like a live stream where I was bringing in audio or video from different web browsers. So that turned into quite a problem. And outside of that, I just wanted to say I think I'm going to be switching up uh, the podcast a little bit. Got a lot going on here in FEMA Region 1, which is Connecticut. And so, for example, tonight we have a caucus for state central committee representatives, which I'm looking to be one. So, local elections coming up. There's just a lot I'm trying to do at the grassroots level, working on upwards. So I was thinking that, one of the podcasts that I listen to a lot is the guys over at No Agenda, great podcast. And there's others that I listen to, Jack Spears, Moment, and so forth. And I really like their value for value type of platform. So I'm figuring it out. I still have, you guys have been great with buying the Start 9 systems. I love mine. I'm in mine almost every day. It seems like doing stuff with it. Whether it's running my own AI language model out of it or my own BTC pay. BTC pay. I was trying to think of the other name for it, but BTC pay, my own banking. Basically, I have my own bank with cryptocurrency, so or Bitcoin. So I was thinking going more to the value for value, as they put it, time, treasure, or talent. And so I'm going to put some links in the show notes. If you happen to like the content you're seeing here, you have seen here, you can shoot over a donation of any amount that you are comfortable with. But again, I still will have some of the links up there because I think the deals that I have set up with some of these companies to be able to provide you some of the stuff that I use at a better rate is also beneficial, especially as everybody's pockets are a little bit tighter these days, so to speak. So today we're going to get into, again, hopefully this works, some others that are on YouTube. Let me see if I can get over to my other screens here. Someday I'll show you this setup. I got my camera here, my laptop here, a monitor over here, another monitor here. I've got my Rode Procaster over here, a microphone. Dogs are barking in the background. I've got trees to cut because I'm clearing out a spot for a good sized pasture for animals on the homestead. But anyways, a lot going on. Oh, let me turn on the chat. That might help here. Let me see, where are the chats if I can find them. Okay, chats are on. So if you happen to be watching live, which I'm not expecting a lot of people to do because I haven't been really consistent lately, just give me a shout out where you're watching from. If you have questions, throw those in the chat too. I always love those. So what I wanted to do is I did this the other day when I was trying to get this to work. Is I did a search on YouTube for within the last year of people who are talking about associations or PMAs as they call them online. And from my work with the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto, how basically we've been trying to combat a lot of this false narrative out there. We debated pro advocates at the World Food Conference last year. So as always, I'm just trying to bring you relevant information, keep you out of club fed, so to speak, and making sure you're not wasting your hard-earned money with people that are just looking to make a quick buck, so to speak, in most cases. So we're going to do another screen share here, and I am fingers crossed hoping that this is going to work. And I think if I do the entire screen, I can make the Audible available. And, all right, so let's see if that pulls up screen one. And there it is. Okay, so we're going to do, I think a view like that works. So again, I'm not here to bash anybody, but people keep putting out the same information verbatim, private domain, private contract, do what you want, set up your association, or I should say your PMA as they call it, and life's going to be all sunshine and roses and unicorns. And that's not the case. I've helped consult with others that have gotten into issues with different states, everywhere from Australia to Hawaii and everywhere in between, so to speak. So, I mean, even here in Connecticut, we've had a bunch that were challenged, and we were able to win those. One, we knew what we were talking about. We had some legal help from a constitutional attorney, but we also knew that there's state statutes that support what we're doing. And I don't expect any of you to know this, but it did, I think, make national news. In Waterbury, Connecticut, there was an incident where a child was pulled out of their home. I just had to get a little coffee going here and get the brain firing. Was pulled out of school and put in their home. I think it was like something like 25 years ago, 20 something years ago, and nobody ever checked up DCF, Child Protective Services, whatever you want to call them. Nobody followed up with this family. Nobody, they never said they were homeschooling or anything like that. And then this kid basically set fire to a room, or this adult now, and was able to escape his I think it was stepfather and mother, or stepmother and dad. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, now the legislative branch, the Democrats in the state are now using that tragic event that happened to this poor individual to try to change the homeschooling laws here in Connecticut and to regulate those, where you have to come in and check in and all these different things that they want homeschoolers to do to jump through hoops. And the whole reason why most people homeschool is because they don't like what's being taught in school. The schools are failing. I mean, the town that I'm in, K through eighth grade, they leave eighth grade, 20% of the students can't read at grade level. So, but yet we keep throwing money at these institutions. So anyways, it's just important to kind of know what's going on. And that's why these ministries in Connecticut, we help fight back the Office of Early Childhood, because they tried to say they were operating an illegal education facility, which wasn't the case. So anyways, it's just one of those things where we got to be on top of things, but things have to be done right. And I think we say that a few, and I guess we'll just dive right into this first video. Fingers crossed, because there's nobody listening on the live stream right now. Again, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon East Coast time, so I really didn't expect anybody to be on. But I want to make sure that, I can do a circle. That's kind of cool. Anyways, I just wanted to make sure that, I wanted to make sure that the audio was going to work. So hopefully you guys can hear this. So I'll just let this play for a second and turn that up.
And this is confirmed and repeated and protected by private contracts, and is one of the private domain.
Oh, there it is.
Let
me just rewind this a second here.
And what this does is it provides the governance and structure for us to be able to.
So what she's talking about is what a PMA is.
To associate with each other in the private domain, and this is confirmed and repeated and protected by.
And you just heard it there, private domain. We're going to hear this repeatedly, but nobody ever dives into what actually is the private domain. They throw these terms out that usually are associated with some type of either the sovereign citizen, state national thing, which isn't right. So, let's let it play a little bit more here.
Private contracts, and
again, you'll hear private contracts a lot when all these people are talking. And one of the things that came up in the debate with Pro Advocate was that, yes, I can have a private contract. I have a crappy Harbor Freight trailer that I might want to sell. I can write up a purchase and sales agreement that's private between myself as the seller and the person who is purchasing it. That is a private contract. Now, I could sell that trailer for whatever price anybody's willing to pay. But what I can't do is have a private contract that sells an illegal or narcotic or traffics humans. Like, that's not legal. That's not allowed. That is going against our laws. And one of the things a lot of these groups that peddle PMAs or talk about PMAs is they don't tell you that there's limitations on what you can and can't do. You can have your right to associate, and you can come together with your group. However, having an association, or as they call them, PMAs, does not put you above the law. And I always use these analogies like a fentanyl factory or a brothel, or if I want to, sell my kids, it, I want to do it within my PMA because other people want to sell their kids or whatever. There's just really crazy stuff like that. It, it's it's illegal. I don't know how else to put it. You can't do it. So, all right, let's continue.
Is one of our fundamental rights.
Fundamental rights. Laws are supposed to achieve their purpose without restricting our fundamental rights.
Okay, I'll give them that. That is correct. Our laws are put in place. Our Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any laws or statutes that are made can't go against that. And if they do, they are null and void. So I'll give you points there.
Of freedom of speech and association, voting, and freedom from arbitrary physical restraint, and decisions about marriage, family relationships.
Let me fast forward a little bit here. Oh yeah, this is where I think they start bringing in the Human Declaration of the Uniform Declaration of Human Rights.
Our rights to religion, not having the government impose on our personal affairs, and our rights as guaranteed from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Okay, so I don't know why they're even bringing this in. The Declaration of Human Rights is a UN document, has no bearing over us. The Constitution, again, is the supreme law of the land. We do have the separation of church and state, where the state can't say there is one religion that we all have to follow and practice. So again, this is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Let's move forward. Oh yeah, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are going into education. Let me see, is there anything else in here I really want to talk about?
No
let's see. No, let's just pick it up from right about. Yeah, the Supreme Clause. Yeah, we talked about that. I didn't say it there. They talk about the Supreme Law of the Land.
Means that you're agreeing to keep information and activities of other members private. This means that we're not posting and sharing pictures and videos and content.
Okay, so they're just talking about how you should operate, I guess, within your PMA. And again, it's between you, your members, and the fence post. However, again, if you have something of, like, let's say a PMA that talks about homesteading and farming, and you see one of the parents manhandling their child in a way that is completely inappropriate, then you have to say something, even if it is in the private association. I mean, morally, that's how I would do it. But again, your moral compass might be different. All right, let's move on. I don't think there's anything else here that I really want to go over. Oh yeah, here. Let's get into these cases. Let's see if it, yeah, this is. Let's start right here.
The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld in numerous cases that there exists a public domain and a private domain in the United States. The First and 14th Amendment rights of free speech and free association are fundamental and highly prized. The private domain of an association is a sanctuary.
Okay, so let's see here. NAACP versus Button. That was basically no, I'm confusing that one with the Georgia one. Well, maybe it's the same. Basically, the individuals wanted the list of all the members of the NAACP, and that is protected. It's private. It's within your group. You don't have to provide that. Now, I know they have it. That's the NAACP versus Alabama. I can't remember what the Button one is off the top of my head. Also, the private domain is referred to as a sanctuary from unjustified interference by the state in Pierce versus Society of Sisters. So that has to do with that whole case. Pierce versus Society of Sisters is the government can't force public education. So take that for what it's worth. And again, don't take my word for it. Go to these cases and download the PDF, do find, type in the word shield, and see what comes up. Another one that's usually brought up is Griswold versus Connecticut, and that talks about intimate associations as opposed to expressive. Expressive is just a larger number of individuals, where in an intimate association, in this case, they were talking about the right to marital privacy, contraceptive, and that sort of thing. So, yes, there is parts of this that kind of lend itself to an association or a PMA, as they put it, but sometimes this stuff is being pulled out of context. So I'll leave this up here if you guys want to screenshot it, go look them up for yourselves. Maybe I'll throw them in the comments. But all right, so let's see. There is
to live in the private, so that will explain.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's go to this right here. This came out a month ago.
Business is used in bringing the work that you do in the world, meaning the gifts that you offer, that you share. Some people call it a business, right? Which
business, air quotes around business. Okay, let's keep going.
And I don't say that flippantly. There's a reason why the language of business is used when we are acting in the public. If you're not sure what it means to act in the public versus live in the private, I have a video.
Of course you do, but you don't explain anything so far.
On YouTube that talks about what it means to live in the private. So that will explain that. A PMA, a private membership association, allows you to bring your work from the public into the private so that you no longer need permissions.
Okay, so that's not true, because we've seen court cases where individuals have said that they were chiropractors, set up a business as a PMA, strictly for business and no other reason for association. And they never went to chiropractic school or held a license, and they were shut down, and they weren't even allowed to use a defense of a PMA.
Licenses, all these things to do what you do. And it also means that you are no longer required to give all your money away to the IRS.
Okay, another good way to end up in Club Fed. So I would highly suggest go back and listen to some of the videos and interviews I did with Dave Merlin, who is a huge tax protester. I agree, tax is theft. I think we need to get rid of the income tax, go back to tariffs like it used to be. I guess we're kind of going in that direction. But to say you have an association, you don't pay taxes, again, that's going to be on your comfort level. If I'm selling eggs to somebody in my association because they want to buy my eggs from our homestead or other items, let's say the kids make goat milk soap or something, that's going to be on, if it's between, again, me, myself, and a fence post, well, me, myself, and them, me, and a fence post, let's get that right, then I guess I'm not going to worry about taxing, putting a tax on eggs, or even if we're bartering for stuff. So I hate blanket statements like this, because they're making it sound like, hey, if I get this PMA and I use thousands of dollars to set it up or whatever they charge, and I have my PMA, I can do everything tax exempt. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a church that falls under the 508C1A tax code, which is part of the 501c3 tax code, which is specifically designated for churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, so on and so forth. And there's 14 checkpoints that the IRS looks at to see that you're not just a paper church or somebody just claiming to be a church and using all the money for personal allurement. So again, there's nuances of this. So take notes, ask these questions to these people when you're meeting with them, and feel free to leave me a comment or shoot me an email on what they say. I'd be interested. Let's continue.
So there's lots of cool benefits. In my Be Free course, I go into PMAs in detail and share with you how you can do your own PMA. I'm also very likely going to be doing a one-off PMA class where you can come, learn all about PMAs, and learn how to create your own PMA.
Maybe I should sign up for that class and go in and see what it's like. Do a little undercover reporting. I'll take the patch off, shave my beard. I mean, when I consult with people on associations, most times I turn people away more than getting them, unless it really fits their need and they're doing it for the right purpose. Um, so I just find it troubling that there's people out there that and it's their right, their free will to make this content, but I just feel like it's misleading people. And videos early on when all of us, the Angelas, the Erica, myself, we were working with Edwards early on, and we started questioning things, and things just weren't lining up and making sense, and we were just told to believe every blind faith. And then getting access to Bloomberg law, West law, and actually diving in and looking at what the law says, cases, and researching some of the cases that were being brought forth. That's why we're no longer we were booted out of that group instantly, and that's why we came out with the PMA manifesto. And it's really just to bring awareness to some of the shenanigans that go on out here in the YouTube world. And yeah, anyways, let me continue.
There are companies out there that will create a PMA for you.
Yes, that is true. There are companies out there, or individuals. I don't know if it's necessarily companies.
And there's no judgment in any of that. We all do what is right for us, and at different times, different things are right for us, right? Okay. I'm a big, my deal is basically that we can do this ourselves.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. I will give her credit here. You can write a PMA, an unincorporated association on a bar napkin if you wanted to. Really, it's your bylaws, your articles of organization, your membership agreement, and what you put in there and how you want to govern your individuals that come together for that reason of association. And now there are some key things you want to make sure your documents have. That's why we came out with the DIY templates. It took us a year to put those things together. And honestly, I find the people that use the DIY templates themselves actually have a better understanding of what their documents say than when I draft documents for them. And it's just astonishing because I've had people call me and say, "Oh, we've got a member that really isn't agreeing or aligning with what our association is set up for. How do we remove them?" And I'm like, "Well, did you read that section? Because there's a whole section on how it works." And most of these documents you get from some of these individuals, which are just copied from documents from somebody else that they bought a set off of, and all they do is change the name, is they'll say you have to have a tribunal. Okay, great. Not a lot of descriptive information in there on how that works. We don't even reference those in our documents, myself or the ladies at the PMA manifesto. We actually have stuff in there that that outlines how it works and how the removal of somebody goes. And it also outlines, if you are setting up let's say you want to have a ministry or a church, and it sets up how somebody becomes a member, not only a member, but also becomes, let's say you have somebody who wants to teach Sunday school or wants to be a deacon or what have you. It's all outlined in there and how that works. All right, a little bit more of this, and we got some other.
You can do this yourself. You can create your own PMA. But yeah, so I'm going to do a class at terralong.com. I chuckled. The same chances that they've always been for you. Thinking about that, like, oh, right, I haven't ever been sued. Nobody has ever, in my almost 20 years of having my own business and doing acupuncture, nobody has ever asked me. Think rationally.
Okay, I think we're done here. Let's go on to the next one. Let's do this one, that one, that one. All right. Oh, we got another one with her. Oh, I think this is one we talked about living the private. Let me strike these up. I had these written down the other day when I initially had this set up, so I apologize. Today I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Let's see.
We're in the air, right? We live on the land.
Oh yeah, she's talking about the different jurisdictions, which is a whole other.
And there's different jurisdictions, that are active and present in our physical world. And so living in the private means that you know that you are a living flesh and blood man.
There is the living flesh and blood. That is called the blood and bone defense, and will get you nowhere in court. So good luck with that. But Yeah, that is one of the things that even Amos Miller, when he was going through his case before he got Robert Barnes as an attorney, his initial filings at the court, when you go and look at them, was a lot of state, national, sovereign, citizen, whatever you want to call it. I'm a living, breathing man, not a fictional entity of my all capital letter name, so on and so forth. And that got him nowhere until he was actually had somebody that knew, somebody that really knows constitutional law and was able to argue certain logical facts of the case. So, anyways, I digress, I guess. Oh, let's see.
Man or woman, and you're living on the land,
Yeah,
and that you can live your life and do the things that you do as a private man or woman, not a citizen.
The citizen thing. Okay.
Watch my other videos to know why you are not a citizen, actually. And there's a few citizens, but so what it means, yeah, that's what it means to live in the private. It means that you're no longer asking permission.
Okay, I don't ask permission to breathe. I don't ask permission to go to the grocery store. I don't ask permission to plant or to shoot on my property. I don't ask permission to hunt my land. I guess technically I should have a hunting license, but anyways, it's what exactly is she not allowed to do? What constitutional right does she not able to exercise on a daily basis? I wonder.
To do life, basically.
I do life every day. I'm doing life right now. I woke up on the right side of the dirt. I have my coffee. I'm doing a live stream. People might even buy some products through the links I have or send in a donation to support what I'm doing here. Where else can you do stuff like this? Like, I don't know. All right.
To
I'm on a tangent here today.
to do and to engage in a private membership association, which means I am practicing and being of service in the private, not the public.
Okay, you know what? Let's talk about this in the private thing. So, let's pull up. Let me shut down the screen share for a second. We don't need to look at this the whole entire time. All right, so I went over to Bloomberg Law today, and they've got a new Bloomberg AI, I guess, that helps go through court cases and pull up topics. So first, I went over to my constitutional law desk book right there. If you're watching the video, and I think that's the 5th edition. So it's an older copy, but I like old books, so it's cool. Nothing in there about private domain. It does talk about what private is, and then I did some other searching. So through Westlaw, I came across kind of just not so much the private domain, but the private sphere, they call it. And it's a constitutional foundation of the private sphere. So we have the First Amendment: free speech, religion, association. There's a landmark case, I think, if I have this right. Well, I'll put this in the show notes. I don't need to go through all of it right now. You have the Third Amendment: no quartering soldiers in your home. Protects the sanctuary of the home. A clear line between private and government use, right? The government can't come in and say, hey, you need to house our airmen or our Army or our Navy. I guess we can throw in the Coast Guard too. Then you have your Fourth Amendment: right to be secure in your person, home, and papers in effect. In that, I would say that is the central, or it's basically the concept of personal property and privacy, right? The Fourth Amendment. Fifth Amendment: protection from self-incrimination and unjust property seizure. And then you have the Ninth Amendment, and then the 14th Amendment, used to protect private decisions in cases like Griswold versus Connecticut, where they came in and said, hey, you have an intimate association with the person that you are married to. The government can't come in and say, no, you can't, or yes, you can have contraceptives. And that's a very broad description of the case, so feel free to read it for yourself. So there is something that is considered a private sphere. We have all these different constitutional rights that come around that sphere that protect against certain things, and mostly protect us from the government. So when I went over to Bloomberg Law, I typed in quote, private domain, unquote, right? And it said the query, private domain, appears to relate to the concept of private property rights and the legal implication of invasion into such domains based on the provided document. The following analysis can be made. And it goes into Nelson versus Portland Police, where it looks like the plaintiff seeks temporary injunction relief from this alleged invasion, turning his apartment into a private prison. So you have Nelson versus Portland Police Bureau, if you want to look that one up. You have Lovett versus West Virginia Central Gas Company. Let's see, the courts address the issue of eminent domain. You'll see a lot of eminent domains come into these things and taking the private property for public use. When you talk private domain, a lot of stuff comes up with eminent domain. So that's Lovett versus West Virginia Central Gas Company. Bradfield versus New Orleans Public Railroad. Let's see. Maintain a safe crossing the highways. The argument that the road was in the private domain of a public entity was not determinative of the statutory duty materials crossing. I don't know anything about this case, so I'm gonna have to read through it. This is just what their AI brought up. So that's Bradfield versus New Orleans Public Railroad. And then Sherman versus Brandon Industries USA Limited. Has something to do with the Biometric Information Privacy Act. So I don't really know how that comes into all this. But the summary says, in some concept of private domain in the legal context generally refers to the protection of private property and personal privacy rights against unauthorized intrusion or use. So I'm assuming all these cases have to do with an unauthorized intrusion or use. The cases illustrate various applications of the concept, from physical property rights to personal data privacy, which again, if you're concerned about your personal data privacy, check out Start9 and the Start9 systems that they have, where you can actually not rely on the cloud, somebody else's computer, and have your own and access your files from anywhere. Little shameless plug there. Each case provides insight into how the law seeks to balance individual rights with public or government interest. So, yeah, so you got that. I think that's kind of a good description of private domain in the private sphere. I think I would use the term private sphere more than domain, but that's just me, because at least we can attach amendments and constitutional, the supreme law of the land, to what the private sphere is. And hopefully my S's don't sound too hard. I've been adjusting things on my Rode podcaster, so I'm trying to like fine tune a few things. But sometimes like the way the S's come across are just like sharp, and I just don't like it. But anyway, all right. So here is the last one. Let me see if I can keep. All right, let's see here. I'll bring this lady up on the stage here. Here we go. All right, this will be the last one that I have. I mean, I have more, but we're getting the point here.
And why I say that is I come from being a contract expert. I have negotiated.
Okay, contract expert. Okay, all right, that's good. Maybe she's a contract specialist. We've used contracts with different companies, so on and so forth, which is a great career field if you like reading a lot. And, you know, maybe she has some good information for us here.
Drafted, wrote, redlined, all kinds of contracts, thousands and thousands.
All right, thousands and thousands. Now, I guess I can make the same claim. When I was practicing real estate, I wrote thousands and hundreds, no, I don't think thousands, hundreds of contracts and addendums and different aspects of contracts. But again, we have no idea what exactly she has been doing.
Vast variety. Most out there that are doing these don't have contract experience.
Okay, again, I love giving credit where credit is due. She is absolutely correct. I think a lot of the quote unquote PMA documents, the founding documents, as a lot of people put them, I think I even use that term once in a while, really are just taking a Word document or got a PDF of somebody else's template, or not even template, their documents, or I think Clearphone had theirs on for a while, but there's whoever did their association, which I still am kind of baffled how they ran a big organization as a like that. Get my mouse over here, because when you look at their PMA stuff online, it talks about medical freedoms, medical rights. Like there's more of like an association made up for people to come and discuss medical alternative medicine type thing. So, yeah, I'll give you credit there that most, if not the majority, have no contract experience, have never ran a business, have never negotiated anything for the most part. So, all right, let's continue. Get this back over there. Let's speed my mouse up somehow.
That's number one. Number two, have they honestly dipped their toe on the private?
Oh God, the private again. Let's stop using that term. It doesn't. Anyways, yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think a lot of these individuals out there have associations. I'm going to call them what they actually are, the unincorporated associations, and they're just running them the way they think is correct, and it may not be. But so, like we have an association in Connecticut. There's a couple that are groups that I'm a part of that are technically associations, but they don't have anything written down, and there's others that do. So I guess maybe it could be somewhat of a valid point.
And stood up using laws of nature, nature's God. I can say that I have 30 years experience as a contract expert and being in the corporate realm.
Okay, so expert, corporate. So she probably looked at a lot of contracts and did some negotiations. So, okay.
Exiting and being a dropout from the corporate into being a freedompreneur.
Freedompreneur. I'm going to add that to my resume. That's a great one.
I did successfully stand up to my employer, Pfizer, and I never
Whoa, you work for Pfizer? All right.
once tested, masked, or got their.
Okay, so listen, COVID, I just said the word. I'm probably going to get banned now on YouTube, but you know if that's still a thing. But nobody needed an affidavit during that time frame. No, during COVID, nobody needed to put on a face covering if they didn't want to. It just people had to stand up on their own 2 feet and say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't have to do that. And I fought constantly in the prisons. Now that I can talk about it because I'm retired from that job, they wanted us wearing masks and getting vaccinated and all that stuff. And I said, oh, hell no. And then I helped a bunch of others say, oh, hell no, too. And, you know, it was so ridiculous that I actually got some of those, I don't even know if I have them anymore. The clear mask, I guess is the best way to put it. It basically was pantyhose on my face. My beard hairs were sticking through it. You could see my teeth and my lips, but not one supervisor or anybody higher than me would say anything about it because they knew it qualified as a face covering and that none of the other crap they gave you did a damn bit of good anyway. So, okay.
Their shot. And I had policies changed. I had them removing charts from trainings because I used laws of nature and nature's God.
Laws of nature, nature's God. I can't remember who said that now, but that is a term that is tossed around. Why can't I think of the guy's name? Anyways, maybe we'll talk about that in another video. Law is nature, nature's God. Because she seems to bring that up a lot. And all right.
God, that I took as a superior standing, a superior jurisdiction, a higher authority.
Okay, now that's where I'm going to say BS. No, absolutely not.
Over the fictitious title.
And there it is.
Met them at a soul level.
Okay, well, I'm not going to subject you guys to that anymore. Okay, at a soul level. Gotcha. Okay, so anyways, I guess, we're just about 40 minutes in today. It felt good to get out here and do this. And again, it's really just to bring the awareness to what is on the internet. Like I didn't even get over to Rumble. I probably should go over there and do a search and see what comes on. or comes up, I should say. But it's just one of those things where I've talked, and if I get talked to so many people and have consultations with so many people about, getting their association. Like I just did one with a couple out in Long Island. Yeah, I think it was Long Island, and they've got documents. And as soon as I saw the first word of the document in the font, I knew exactly who wrote them, how trashy they were. I redid everything for them, and now they have sound documents that outline everything that they're doing, how they're working, and they're in a different state, so they might have some other obstacles coming down the road that they're going to have to navigate. But at least if they were ever to have any disputes within their association, and it got to the point where somebody went and sued in court, they can bring in their documents and faithfully know that these are well-written documents where the judge or whoever's going to, in most cases, look at them and be like, okay, you've got everything laid out here. I'm not interfering in your association. You have the right to govern your association. So some people call it their own constitution or declaration or whatever you want to call it. I just call them your bylaws, your articles of organization, your membership agreement, just like any other entity would have. It's just that you're unincorporated. You're doing things that you would like to do that are legally and lawful, and you're doing them with a group of people who come together for the same reason. So I think, and if I wasn't getting so many phone calls and emails and scheduling time to talk, like I've got another one coming up this weekend, speaking with somebody, I just hate to see it or hear it in their voice, or like, oh, I wish I didn't spend that money on that. If I only had talked to you first, because some of the things that people set these up for aren't really going to do anything. And I forgot to use all my cool sound effects today, but that's okay. We'll do it next time. It just popped into my head. But yeah, I have a few that I'd like to use. So I guess in closing, thank you all for sticking in here and listening and coming by and checking out the video. We will be doing another one next Tuesday. I should probably just get that set up in YouTube now, God willing. And I got some other exciting news to tell you. You know what? I guess I'll just, I'll start off the next video with that, because hopefully by then I'll have more information, contracts signed, and then maybe you can tune in other places. There's a hint. Thanks for watching. See you on the next episode.